welcome to Village in Motion. I'm Marcia Boyles, and I'm delighted to start this morning, this particular segment, with Alice Eggers, who is an officer with the Fairfax County Sheriff's Office?
No, it's actually Fairfax County Police. The Sheriff's Office is a separate entity.
Thank you, Alice, for correcting me on this. You're going to talk this morning about fraud.
Correct. Considering the time of year that we're in right now, I think it's important to remind people that when they're doing their taxes, that people are starting to get phone calls from the IRS. Please understand that the IRS does not call you. They will not email you. They will send a certified letter.
These are threatening calls. You must
Correct.
pay kind
you
of thing.
must pay. You owe back taxes. It's in the thousands and $10,000s of dollars. If you don't pay this fee of interest, you will be subject to a warrant, things like that, and you will be arrested. That is not how the IRS works. Any phone call like that, basically at that point, say, thank you, I will follow up with my tax administration office for the IRS, and I will take care of it from there.
That's the polite way to do it. Otherwise, you just hang up.
Correct. And also understand that, you know, the phone scams, the biggest thing is, and there's so many that are out there right now. We have ones that are calling from the sheriff's office for Fairfax County, saying that, you know, you have a warrant, a bench warrant on file, you have to pay $5,000. And there's always typically the warning sign if they want you to pay it in gift cards, whether it be Apple gift cards, Home Depot gift cards. So those are usually huge warning signs.
You mean to say the sheriff doesn't normally want gift cards?
No.
Isn't that extraordinary that they would want them in gift cards?
Yes, exactly.
I mean, that is just such a tip-off.
Yes, it's a huge warning sign. And I usually tell people, when you get those phone calls, if you have a high emotional surge of stress and anxiety about it, those are warning signs. Your feelings are telling you something. It's saying, you know what, tell you what, let me get your information, let me write down your phone number, and I will call you back. You know, and at that point, that allows you to go and check the number, call the actual Fairfax County Police Department or the Sheriff's Office or the IRS, or if it's one of those scams about your grandchild is in a jail or in a hospital in some foreign country, it allows you to check up on that information. You haven't told the person no on the phone. You said, you know what? Wait a second, let me make a phone call, I will get back with you. And it allows you to follow up, and then you can make those direct calls and confirm information. And that way you're not going back to that caller, you know, that called you, and that you have no verification of that, if that person is legitimate or not. And understand the caller IDs now with the technology, they can get that caller ID to say anything they want.
Yes.
So it is very important to keep those things in mind. High emotional surges, feeling of anxiety, stress, worry about something that someone just said on the phone, those are bells and whistles that go off to let you know that maybe something's not exactly right.
Now, Alice, should people report those calls?
They should report those calls. Most of them are from out of the country.
Yes.
So as law enforcement, we typically can't make any type of prosecution, but it is important. You can go online. The Federal Trade Commission has a website that you can make reports through, and there's different federal agencies that have online reporting where you can report that type of activity, and you don't even have to speak to somebody. You can do it all online and say what they said, things like that. And even myself, we had those phone calls, and I went online and made a quick report to say this is what was said to me, this is what they were saying, knowing full well that it was a scam. So it is very important to make those reports so that depending on what's going on, a lot of times they're doing investigations behind the scenes, trying to find out who's doing this. And again, if you do send money, the biggest thing, whether it be gift cards or money, the biggest thing that I would tell somebody is if they realize they've been scammed, please make a report. This is not about shaming you. This is not about wagging our finger at you saying you should have known better. We actually had a volunteer in police service that got scammed, and he felt so bad because he's worked with me for years, and he said, I know better. And I said, Yes, but understand that this is about making a report. This is not about wagging a finger at you and giving you a hard time. You needed to make the report. It is very important. We're all susceptible. We're all vulnerable. We all have emotions and feelings. His was based on a grandchild that was in a jail somewhere type thing. But again, there's no shame involved. We all have our weak spots.
One of the ones that I have been hearing about from some residents is somebody calling from Apple or
Yes.
Dell or Windows saying that your computer is infected and we
Correct.
can disinfect it. Da, 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 da.
Correct.
Just give us your credit card number and.
Of course, yes, that is another big one. Actually, my supervisor, my lieutenant, had those phone calls. Someone called and said, you know, your Dell computer, whatever it may be, your Windows is off, and we would like to take control of the computer and fix it for you.
Right.
And of course, he knowing that it's a scam, said, I have a Mac. And they ended up calling 10 minutes later from Apple saying, we know that you have an Apple computer, you know, we'd like to fix it. And he goes, no, I have a Dell. And so, you know, it is one of those things. Nobody should be calling you. If there's something wrong with your computer, there's obviously Apple stores that you can take it to. You can call Apple customer service direct. No one should be asking you your credit card information over the phone or any personal information over the phone.
That was not a very subtle scam. That 10 minutes later they called and said, we understand you have an Apple.
Yes, correct. So, you know, again, they're trying to work that system, but also for my senior population that is so charitable, and a lot of times they'll start to get the phone calls about from Virginia State Police, you know, you want to give to the Virginia State Police Association.
Yes.
I've actually had those phone calls and told them, you know, no, I actually give to heroes, I give to cops, concerns of police survivors. I do not want to give to you, and you don't have to feel bad or feel that in some way that you have not been charitable. I always advise people, pick 2 charities that you've done research on, that you feel very strongly about, and whether it also, like if you give to your house of worship, you know that then because you're giving money to something that you've already done the research on, that when someone else asks you to donate, you have no guilt. I already give to my particular charity. I know who they are. I know how much a percentage of my money actually goes to the charitable event or function or what they're trying to do. So I feel comfortable with that. And that way you don't have to feel that overwhelming burden of, oh, I should do something. I should feel, you know, this charitable, you know, feeling of giving more money, you know. And it's also true for the panhandlers. A lot of times people see the panhandlers out on the road, you know, understand that, you know, as they're walking up and down, that they have the sign that says that they're a disabled vet. Pretty much can guarantee they're not. There are services here in Fairfax County to help them. They are not supposed to be out soliciting, but it is a freedom of speech thing, so we as law enforcement can do very little about it. But they actually have programs online that these people go to find out which intersection is the best intersection to go to make the most money.
You're
and
kidding.
No, ma'am.
Oh,
no, ma'am.
my gosh.
They make $30, $40, $50 an hour tax-free.
Oh, my heavens.
So if you're making $30, $40, $50 an hour tax-free, that's pretty impressive.
It is.
So, and also sometimes they'll bring their children with them to get to invoke those emotions, which is what I was talking about before. You know, and I've even had to educate my daughter, who's very tenderhearted, to say we are all about charity, but charity within boundaries. Charity within boundaries means we've done the research. We know when we give to our house of worship, we know it goes to a good thing. We know when we give to heroes, that's a good thing. We know when we give to concerns of police survivors, that's a good thing. But any other type of charity, unless we've done the research, we do not give.
Oh, that is certainly a good rule to be following. Are there special scams that target residents of a place like this?
I think anytime, again, when you're dealing with our senior population that, you know, is the greatest generation, you know, they have the biggest hearts, they're very charitable. I think not just Green Springs, but all my senior population is susceptible to those types of things because they are so charitable. You know, you're in a different stage of your life. You know, you're giving to your grandchildren, you're giving to your house of worship. And, you know, when you see something on the news, you feel that draw to help. and that's okay to have those feelings, but it's very important, again, to do the research. Like if, the tragedy that we have down in Florida with the shooting,
Yes.
a lot of times people will start making phone calls to talk about they're part of some charitable organization that's giving money to the victims of a shooting, but you have no way to verify any of that.
No, they've already started setting up GoFund websites, and I heard the sheriff saying last night, don't give to any of those. That we're going to set one up, and that will be for all of them.
Yes, correct. And
Because
you want it to be
just
fair.
can't tell.
Correct. And you want it to be fair and equitable. Like
Yeah,
you want
absolutely.
everybody to have a certain amount and that it be done fairly.
Yes.
If there's specific accounts that people are taking from, it's not going to be equal. We want to try to be fair to all victims of crime.
Well, and I'm sure some of those are scams.
They are. Most definitely they are. And like I said, they're playing on our kind hearts, our big hearts.
Yes, and the upset around something like that.
Correct.
One of the scams that we also hear about here are travel. You've just won a trip to Jamaica, and all you have to do is pay $49.99, and you have this wonderful trip.
Correct. And that's not unusual too, scams usually have the same, I always say the same wheel that they go on, where it's something that's probably too good to be true, which means it is too good to be true.
Right.
And, I try to tell people, just as anything back, not so much for my Green Springs people, but everybody that is here at Green Springs used to be a homeowner.
Right.
So when they were a homeowner, if somebody came door to door and said, well, your shingles need work, your siding or whatever it may be, more than likely you would tell them, you know what, I need to do some research to find out who I'm going to choose, have my neighbors used anybody, things like that, and to do a little research before you make a decision.
My approach was always, what is your license number?
Absolutely,
And
absolutely.
they usually fled when I asked that.
Correct, because they're not usually licensed, bonded, and insured.
Right.
And I make that connection with the travel type things because anytime someone's coming in, did you want to go to Jamaica?
Right.
If you hadn't really started thinking about it already, you probably don't want what they're selling you. So if you haven't walked out of your home and said, you know what, I need a new roof, I need to have my trees trimmed, I need new windows, I need this, then you probably don't need it.
Right.
Same is true with the vacation. Everybody loves a great vacation. It's that beautiful, wonderful feeling that we get, when the sand's between our toes and the sun's shining on our face. But if you haven't already decided, like, I want to go see X, whether it be Jamaica, Bermuda, Haiti, wherever you want to go, that if you haven't said that to yourself, then more than likely what they're selling you is not really what you're looking for. You want to have the freedom to make those decisions. Do I want to go to Hawaii? How long do I want to stay? What restaurants do I want to go to? You need to be able to do the research, and a lot of times we all have that streak of, oh, just somebody else take care of it.
Right.
But to really get the full enjoyment out of it, we have to do the backup work, which is decide what we want to do, where we want to go. So someone calling on the phone is not going to be helpful to you.
Well, and getting a reputable travel agent.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. Well, those are the ones that we're hearing most about. Now, you would not get involved with stealing your tax refund, I don't suppose, would you?
We actually, funny enough, my husband and I had our tax returns stolen.
Did you?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. This
Wow.
was two years ago. We had our tax returns stolen. It was an online transaction, and they took it that way. And we made our report with IRS, and we also made it with Virginia. So, and the money was reimbursed back to us.
You both your federal and your state?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh,
Yes,
my
ma'am.
heavens.
Yes, ma'am. And we do online filing, and and actually they traced it back to Russia, which is not unusual. And basically, they got about $9,000. But anything under 10 grand, typically the IRS doesn't flag it, so they'll just cut the check and send it, even though the address had changed, or where the count always had been before for the last however many years. it's changed, but they don't pay attention to it unless it goes over $10,000.
And do you sense that they target, that the thieves target accounts that are less than 10,000
Yes.
because of that?
Yes, absolutely. So
Boy.
it's always just best if that happens, if you file online or, whatever it may be, and it comes back that you've already filed, then you know something's wrong, then you need to make contact with the IRS or Virginia and make that report to say, hey, I haven't filed. This is my information. And my husband and I had to go to the tax office for Virginia, and we had to make we had to do phone calls of interviews to talk about, the fact that we never received the money, and they pulled up past years of, our tax returns to compare where they sent it and where we are type thing. So they will do the investigation. You will get the money eventually, but it is sad that that's what happens.
Well, it would be a hassle.
Absolutely. It's
And
a
I
headache.
think just knowing that crooks in Russia got $9,000 is irritating.
Absolutely. But again, it's one of those things that, again, we have to work through. We have to make the report, let somebody know. Because a lot of times people go, I don't know if I want all that headache. What if it was only you're getting $1,000 back, But it's always important, because every time you make that report, that lets somebody know, okay, we're in an investigation. This may be an epidemic that we're seeing. So we want to make sure that we make those reports. But it's not unusual. I tell people file as early as possible. My husband was kind of, a little slow that year and filed later. But as soon as you can file, I would encourage you to file and just pay attention to your information. Now they have PIN numbers, to try to protect that if you're doing your online filing of your taxes. So they're doing a lot of that now to try to protect that. But again, it's just about realizing it happened, make the report with the IRS, make the report with Virginia, and go from there.
One of the scams that, of course, became notorious, particularly with elderly folks, was the grandchild calling with a tale of woe from jail or from a foreign country or hospital or whatever.
Yes.
Now, I have not heard anybody talking about that recently. Has that pretty much stopped?
No, it's still there. It's definitely still there. Like any crime that we have out there, it's cyclical. So, some bad guy tells another bad guy, this is what I did, that type of thing. And that's how that kind of works. So it'll go away for a little bit and then it comes back around.
I see.
So I always tell people, remember that, and again, that's when you call your son or daughter and say, hey, they're telling me my grandson's X, Y, and Z, are they, because especially as we're coming up into spring break, Easter time, Lent, and all that other stuff. Of course. When the kids get out for school for a while, it's very important.
Well, typically it seemed to be 10 or 11 or 12 o'clock at night.
Yes.
And that, of course, also made it hard then for, if it's 11:30, you're not going to probably want to call and wake up your kids.
Correct. But, a lot of us are Facebookers, and, even our, younger kids still do Facebook some. So a lot of times you can check, and they have a location on their Facebook, so you can check that way. But again, if it's that severe, it can wait. If you've gotten yourself in a jail in a foreign country, it can wait until morning. I hate to say it, but those are things that happen, and you know what? It's just going to have to wait until I can verify the information, because once that money's gone, once it goes overseas, we cannot get it back.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, we were hearing a lot of that for a time.
Yes, very much so.
But it does seem to have slowed. Okay. Anything else that?
No, I think the biggest thing is also realize that if you're going grocery shopping or whatever it may be, and someone approaches you in the parking lot, they're holding a baby and they hand you a card that says, I don't speak English, I need formula for my baby, I have no food. Understand that that's not the place to pull out your wallet or you pull out your pocketbook and give them money, because they usually have somebody else that's with them, that's watching that person in the parking lot that's going car to car. So understand that that's not the place to do it. Politely decline, and go into the grocery store. it's so important because a lot of people go, well, I'll tell them to meet me in the grocery store and I'll buy them something. Well, they typically return it because they want the cash. They don't want the food.
Exactly.
So again, I just advise people, there are services here in Fairfax County to help somebody that is in need, that needs formula or needs shelter, especially for women with a child.
Yes.
We have services there at the top of the list. If you're a woman with a child, you are at the top of the list of getting services. So understand that that's there. And again, that's that emotional pull that they're using. And I just want to protect everybody because I've had people approach me in the parking lot and it's uncomfortable because you don't want to tell somebody no.
Well, it is. A woman with a child is absolutely. We all react to that.
Absolutely, absolutely. But no, that is a scam. Understand that at that point, politely decline. And if you need to call law enforcement, because what if she does need services? Just because you call law enforcement doesn't mean that person goes to jail. It's that opportunity. Law enforcement is also that entity that has information that they can give to that woman and say, hey, we can connect you with community board services. We can connect you with, family services. We can connect you with a shelter. We can connect you with food. So we have those things at our disposal.
All right, that's a good point. I don't think the average person would think to call the police.
Correct.
When approached like that.
Correct.
If it's a scam, they can take care of it, but if it's a genuine need, they can also help.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, good point. Yeah, again, I think you just say no and go on.
And you walk away. But that may be that opportunity where it is our job. I understand that we're law enforcement and we're the people that write tickets, and if somebody's done something wrong, we're the ones that take them to jail. But we also have another component to our work, which is we came on this job to help people. So if someone's in need, it's our job to help that person. So you're not calling them to get them in trouble. You're calling them because if they legitimately need help, we can help provide that for them. We can get them in contact with people that can help in those arenas that they need help in. And if it's a scam, then it basically lets that person know this is not the place I need to be doing the scam.
Yes, I get you. Well, Alice, I think can you think of anything else we need to cover here?
No, I think the biggest thing is just be aware, trust your instincts. If you have high emotions about something, it's time at that point to take a step back and take a breath and then look at it again and not make quick snap decisions. Most things in life do not need a quick fix. It's something that needs to be done slowly and using our thought process. So I think it's very important to understand that and recognize it. We all make snap decisions, but again, it's kind of stopping that real quick and going, maybe I should wait.
Do all the scams basically play on emotions? Is
Absolutely.
that really part of it?
Absolutely. They play on our hearts and they play on our soft spots. They play on those vulnerabilities. And shame on them for doing that. But we are human beings. We are meant to want to connect with people, to help people. That's what we do. But again, people use that to their advantage. So it's very important to understand that if you're getting the high emotions, it doesn't have to be fixed right this second. If someone has, needed services and it's this bad, then you can call the police and let us take care of it. Or, it's just like houses of worship. I tell them, somebody comes in on a Sunday when you're worshiping to demand food, I go, you got this far. How about you make an appointment for Monday, not during the service? Again, it's that charity within boundaries.
Yes. All right. Well, that sounds like a good rule of thumb. If you're reacting strongly, it could well be a scam.
Absolutely.
Have your brain shift into gear.
It's hard to do, but yes, ma'am.
All right. Well, thanks so much for coming today. We always appreciate and enjoy your visits. You said you had been doing fraud for 12 years?
Actually, I'm a 23-year veteran of the police department.
Are you?
Yes,
My
ma'am.
goodness.
Yes, ma'am. But I've been doing crime prevention off and on for about 12 years.
Well, that's amazing. So we could count on you for another 12 years coming.
I hope so. I hope so.